Hello and welcome to the Paid Search Podcast. My name is Chris Schaefer, and it is episode 378. And we're moving into late in 2023. It's already, most of 2023 has already passed. And believe it or not, the weather's going to start changing again. We're going to start moving into holiday season, and that's going to be one of the topics that we talk about today. That's going to be at the end of the episode. The topic of the week this week is about how to prepare for holiday season, Christmas season, sales season for your Google Ads account. It's going to be very important. I have some great information for you from a guest who just provides solid information. You're going to love it. So stick around for that. And as always, we're going to continue with the other topics, which starts with the metric of the week. Then we're going to move into the question from listener section where you can send in your questions and I answer them right here on the show. So without further ado, let's jump into it. I want to tell you about the metric of the week, which so happens to be from a listener. A listener actually mailed into the show. I say mailed as in emailed. You can do that yourself at paidsearchpodcast.com. You can mail in your question, and I read those and very often reply to them whenever I'm going to answer the question, so you kind of know, hey, be sure and listen because I'm going to be answering your question next week. And this week, I have a question from Sweta, I believe. If you want me to mispronounce your name, just don't tell me how to pronounce it, and I'll probably mispronounce it. So, Sweta asked the question, I've been watching your paid search podcast since when I started Google Ads. Let me say that again. I started watching paid search podcasts when I started Google Ads. And I'm learning so much from your videos. I like the way you describe all the concepts. I have a question. What is attribution models? What is the attribution model? Should I use it for automated bidding, and how is this helpful? Okay, so kicking off, thank you so much for your question, Sweta. I appreciate that. Good question. And I'm going to answer this question. And before I get to that, I want to remind you about the sponsor of the show. Paid Search Podcast is sponsored by Opteo.com. I appreciate their sponsorship. They have been around for a long time, and there's a reason. These guys are on top of their game for Google Ads management software. You're listening to this show because you care about your client's account, your account. You're working for an agency who has lots of clients, and you want to be the best you can in Google Ads, no matter who you're doing it for. And Opteo.com/PSP is a way to try the number one Google Ads management software out there. You can try this software for free for 2 months. And guys, they have the best software. It is like having an absolute expert look over your shoulder as you're managing the account. It doesn't take over management. It doesn't force you to do things. It doesn't change things in your account without your permission. It looks at what you want done in the account and tries to give you hints on, hey, we noticed this. We noticed that this keyword is spending a lot of money and it's not performing. We noticed that this is happening on these bids, or did you realize that this ad was, very poorly performing? All kinds of things you may not see. And I tell you what, it is a wonderful tool to have. If you want to try it, you can go to opteo.com/PSP, get a 2-month free trial of the tool. That's the only place you can get that 2-month free trial, at opteo.com/PSP. The link is in the description. So let's get to the first topic of the week, which is metric of the week from Sweta. And let's talk about attribution. So attribution, simply said, is the way that Google understands your conversions. Okay? Very simple. Google has to attribute a conversion to a click. You can't just have conversions that sit out there in space. You can't just have a conversion. Oh, you got a conversion. It has to say, no, you got a conversion from a click. That click came from an impression. That impression was either on mobile or desktop. It happened at this time of day. It was in this location. Everything is connected. So, of course, it would make sense that if everything's connected, a click has to be attributed to a conversion. So thus attribution. That's what that term is referring to. Attribution is the attributing of a click to a conversion. So the question is, why does that matter? Why are there different settings? Well, the fact is that there's more than one click that will lead to a conversion. One person, one instance, one device may click multiple times, and one of those clicks may lead to a conversion. So which one do they attribute that conversion to? And that's where the attribution model system comes from. If this is news to you, I don't want to make your life more complex, because you're now going to be faced with options. And I'm going to lay out some of the options. And the fact is, there's probably a one solution for everyone kind of option out there. But let me go through a little bit of discussion. So years ago, we had something called last click attribution. And it was giving all credit to the very last click. So if they clicked 4 times, the very last click was the one that was attributed to that conversion that happened. Now, as time passed, as Google Ads matured, we got other attribution models, all of which have pretty much been depreciated and sunsetted in whatever term that you want to use that just means kicked out, right? There was first click attribution, linear attribution, time decay, position-based. I have notes here about what all those mean. Who cares? It doesn't matter, because nowadays there's only really 2 things you need to know. And I would imagine, some accounts out there might have other options, because it kind of depends on the status of your account and how much Google's depreciated some things in some accounts. But basically, I'm going to speak to the majority, and you probably only have 2 options. You have last click attribution, or you have data-driven attribution. All right, so let's talk about the difference. Simple answer is this. Most of you probably should just use data-driven attribution. And the way that it works is it's different from all other attribution models because it uses your conversion data to calculate the actual contribution of each ad interaction across the whole conversion process. All right, so that means each conversion, each modeled conversion attribution is different for each advertiser, because a e-commerce company is going to be different than a lead gen company is going to be different from a call-only company. So this is different for everyone. So the short answer is this. If you want to use something and you want to just use what generally is probably better, data-driven attribution is probably what you should go with. Now, if you want to know more about how this functions, the way that data-driven works is it looks at the steps that lead to a conversion in other conversion situations. So if you can imagine a pathway with multiple stairs leading down to the final level of a conversion, leading down a funnel. There's multiple staircases, and some people might actually jump from one staircase to another. They might jump across one hallway to another, but eventually the ones that do land, Google tracks what staircases, what paths did they go down to bring them to this final conclusion of a conversion. And the ones that have the highest probability of leading a customer to complete a conversion, this data-driven system gives more credit to those interactions in the customer's path. So if more people follow this particular path, Google's going to say, yep, more confirmation that, yep, this is the way, this is the way, this is the way. And it's going to give those attributions, those clicks in the path, those keywords in the path, credit for those. So you might be highly confused by this because you're saying, how can one conversion be more than one conversion? It's not. What they do is they might give each conversion a 0.33 amount. So one click might be attributed as a 0.33 conversion. Another click, 0.33. Another click, 0.33. Right? So it's split it 3 ways. And it's decided each one of those were valuable processes to lead to that conversion, and it's given it 3 ways. Another client might not have a path. It might just say, oh, this one, this one, this one. Only 1 click led to that path. So this is different for everyone. That's why, in general, I tend to suggest that you just go with probably what's going to work, because, and here's the final point, I'll draw it all together. If Google doesn't have enough data to make a decision about the proper funneling, the proper interactions that happen for each conversion, then they're just going to automatically just change it to a last click attribution system. That's where it gives all the credit to the last click. If Google doesn't really know, and you don't really have enough data, you've just started, or your conversions are so new or so sporadic in the way that you've changed conversion pathways, or you've changed conversion types or something like that, they just don't have the right data for some reason or another, it's just going to attribute all data to last click. So in the end, it's probably better to just go with data-driven, because if it can help you, it will. If it can't help you, it's just going to go with the last click data and just give you the quote-unquote default. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps, because attribution models are confusing, and if you don't feel like you've really arrived at a decision, then I can tell you it's probably defaulted in your account already, because Google sent out emails, I think starting a year ago, saying we're going to be changing conversion attribution models all to data-driven. And they slowly have been cranking those and forcing people to change over unless you opted out. So unless you were paying attention to those emails, or you opted out for some reason, you're probably on that new method, which is the data-driven conversion model. Okay, so thank you so much for the question. If you would like to ask a question, much like Sweta did, you can go to paidsearchpodcast.com, send me an email, and you can be like Wayne, who has sent a question. He is from the UK, and he says, hey, Chris, a quick question across the pond in the UK. A question not so much about Google Ads, but more about the landing page of the website. My question revolves around the importance of the landing page and how much it affects conversions. Now, that really seems a silly question overall, but I listened to your brilliant podcasts on how to improve campaigns, but it's all for nothing if the website user experience is awful. You're absolutely right, Wayne. I've had many conversations with I've had many conversations with web developers on improving the web page, but this leads to arguments that they don't believe the website's the problem, they believe it's Google Ads. Absolutely. Yeah, it's not my problem, it's your problem. I mean, that's very common. My question is this: apart from user experience, bounce rate, lack of conversions, is there any way we can look at the data and categorically say the website needs improving? Great question. So let's save you from future arguments. And as I like to do, I like to lay things out in black and white. There's always gray, but I'm going to leave you with my opinion about what I think, and then you can draw your own conclusion. I will fault the website rather than Google Ads if, first, my Google Ads passes the basic foundation test. And that is typically going to be based on metrics. Let's assume no conversions. Let's assume no conversions at all. We have no proof at all that there's been any success. In the same scenario, let's also assume that conversion tracking is working. So it's not because conversion tracking is broken. It's because conversion tracking is working and there's just been no conversions at all. Should we email the developer and say, hey, you got to fix this. Your page sucks. Your page is the problem. It's not my Google Ads. Is it time for that? Well, let's go through. This is what the checklist looks like for me. Number one, do my metrics, are my metrics stable? And this is actually a double check. Number one, Are my metrics stable? And with the first question, in order to answer that, first of all, it's not the first week. It's not the second week. Maybe not even the first month. Okay? Do not assume that your landing page, your website is broken just because you didn't get leads in the first day, first week, first month. Okay? Hold off there. Let's improve you before we improve they. Okay? Because you need to make sure you don't have the plank in your eye, or the speck in your eye before you fix someone else's plank, right? That comes from a very famous book. Big fan of it. I can tell you that the metrics that we're going to be looking at, once we have these steady metrics, once it's been a month, maybe two, is, does my click-through rate look okay? So is it over 3%? Okay, that is a very generic percentage, but is it at least over 3%? If it's off of 3%, like at 1%, less than 1%, that's a red flag. Maybe there's some stuff to improve with me first rather than they. All right, next question. How about the bounce rate? If you're not using a landing page and it is a web page, are people bouncing immediately? All right, that could be a good indication that the web page is broken, but it's also an indication that you're setting up expectations wrong. The ad copy, the keywords are presenting the wrong message, bringing the wrong people into the page. So first, are you bouncing people off the page? So make sure you're sending qualified people to this page and that they actually are interested in the products, the service, whatever it is that you're selling on this page, before you assume that the bounce rate is because, it's just because it's a bad page. All right. Another thing that you can consider is, what do the search terms look like? And this is probably the most difficult to analyze, because looking at yourself in a mirror and objectively understanding is this good or bad is very hard to do. So let me give you a practical solution on how to do this. What you could do is take your top search term. Pause for a moment here. When I say search term, for you new people here, search term is it's not a keyword. You don't look at your you don't take your keyword, you look at the search terms. Okay, so if you don't know what that is, please go look that up, because this whole practice is broken if you don't look at the search term. So, continuing. Look at the search term, copy that search term and paste it into Google, and honestly ask yourself, are you in the right company? Are you in the right funnel? Are the people's ads that are showing up for this relevant? What about the organic? Is this search appropriate for what you're paying per click? I mean, is this too high in the funnel? Is it funnel adjacent? Is it basically a different funnel where they're not really interested in what you're advertising? It's funnel adjacent. It's outside of what you really want to advertise. It's not quite relevant. Ask yourself critically, is that true? And if you really wonder about that, then maybe you need to try changing your keywords. Change the traffic quality. And another way to reflect upon this for yourself is look at the search term. Is it one word? Is it the word plumber? Look at the search term. Is it kitchen plumber? Or is it drain repair? Something like that. If it's one or two words, I would say you have not passed the check yet. You've not passed the quality check that I'm talking about. And you need to better qualify the traffic that you're sending to this page. If you've passed all of these and excelled them enough to start picking a fight with whoever's working on your website, your landing page, whatever, now I feel like you can properly question what's happening after the click. But don't pick a fight until you know and you're solid that, I'm sending the right people to the page. They're not converting because of the page. Now it's time that you can start questioning that. Great question, Wayne. And Wayne actually sends in a follow-up, and he says, part 2 on this, we're getting a lot of agencies offering Google Ads that are linked to a one-page lead website. So lead generation, it's basically convert or get out. That's what he's talking about. Unbounced page, it's not linked to your website, is a single kind of page entity. Very common. Can very often be successful. But then he asks for my opinion, so you're going to get it. What are your thoughts on this process? Do Google Ads campaigns work better short or long term if the website is just one page? Love your work and the service you offer, Wayne. Okay, Wayne. Well, you asked for my opinion, and keep in mind, this is my opinion. That's what I'm here for. It's my show. The only one here, so you're not going to hear anyone else's opinion, so that means mine is right. Okay, so I don't like single page final URLs, landing pages, whatever you want to call them. I do not like them. I don't like lead generation that says either convert or leave, because even if you have a super successful campaign, if you don't convert, you're in the majority. The majority of people are not going to convert. Even if you have a 30% conversion rate, that means 70%'s not converting. Okay, so what's that other 70% doing? They are leaving the page. Absolutely no chance to, even become acquainted with the company. They have no engagement beyond that. They can't even open the door of the company and look around and see if they like any other products, any other services. Maybe they see a picture of the staff and they realize, oh, this is a family, small team. This is actually what I'm looking for. I'd be quite happy with this. They can't even do that. And I'll tell you, I like website tracking. I like to send people to a website, because you never know what it is that will trigger a person to say, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I landed on this page, but actually what I want is this. There's something that they see on that page. I really prefer that. I think that it is a much better solution. And you ask, well, Chris, why do people sell so many single page landing pages? And that seems like such the focus in the PPC world. Here's my theory. It's a self-serving kind of thing. It's much easier to get 100% credit when you send people to a landing page, because either they convert or they don't. An agency is going to lose some conversions if you have an email on your website and they can't track email sends, where someone copies and pastes an email and sends it directly to the company. They can't track that. They may not have call tracking set up to be able to track all the phone numbers on your site. You might have alternate phone numbers, and they're not willing to track all those phone numbers. They're just going to track one phone number. And so they don't want people calling the other numbers that they don't get credit for, because they're judged on conversions. And the best way to get the best conversions is to make sure none escape. These are my conversions. I made them. I got you 50 conversions, and you need to know that I got you 50. If they send you to a web page, they send the click to a web page, they might still have gotten you 50 conversions, but it may have only tracked 40. So now they're offering to you as their client, telling their employer, I got you 40 conversions. It doesn't look as good, and they're judged on that cost per conversion. So they're not going to look as clean. It's a self-serving thing. So it's an unhealthy relationship. You're judging them, and because you're judging them on this one metric, they want this one metric to be as clean as possible, and they don't want the headache of having to track your website. Maybe your website is awful. There could be a lot of reasons why that might happen. So it's merely out of self-preservation that agencies, companies, whatever, do this. It's just simpler. Building a website is expensive, difficult, and certainly redoing a website because you want to launch a PPC campaign is a big leap. And it's easier to just say, I'll tell you what, I'm going to throw together a landing page. We're going to run that, period. That's it. So I don't like them, but they absolutely work for a lot of companies. So there you go, Wayne. Good luck in your argumentative discussions with your developers out there, don't blame them for everything. You know, sometimes your keywords were just a bad idea. Sometimes they just weren't, they weren't delivering the right traffic to the right page, you know? We can take fault for where fault is due. All right, so now we're going to jump into the topic of the week. The topical discussion of the week, as I hinted at the top of the hour, is how to prepare for holiday season, featuring my friend Joey Bidner. Joey works in Google Ads as a freelancer, much like me. I've had the pleasure of helping him come up and really learn this, and I've watched him just excel in an amazing way, and I enjoy hearing his takes on some things that he says better than I do. So I've invited him on the show to discuss how to prepare for holiday season. I think he has some killer things to answer, and believe it or not, you guys have single-handedly determined the topics on this show, because this comes in response to a question from Daryl. Daryl writes in just this past week and says, if you remember, he was on the previous episodes. Thanks for my questions on previous question. Thanks for answers on my previous question. And also, yes, Squamish, Canada is a real place. Search for it, and the Google images won't disappoint. You're right, Daryl. I did. And oh my God, it's absolutely astounding. It's beautiful. It actually is a bit upsetting because I'm like, I live among just dirt and trees, and I mean, it's beautiful, but then I see pictures like this, and I'm like, well, Daryl made the right choice. Daryl's living in the right part of the world. That it looks absolutely astoundingly beautiful. So congrats on being geographically winning the lotto there. It's amazing. So he does have a question beyond gloating about his amazing location. My question for today is, how do you prepare for your account's big sale days, such as Black Friday, Boxing Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, things like that? Okay. Any tips or tricks would be greatly appreciated. Daryl, you just summoned the Joey Bidner. He's going to drop in here and he's going to tell you about how to do this. Before I allow him into the gate, I'm going to tell you guys again, Opteo is the software to try. I can tell you they just released some new Slack updates. Everybody loves Slack. I use Slack. Slack is wonderful. Forget using email. Slack is a great way to stay in touch, and they actually have a Slack channel integration where you can send alerts from a single Opteo account to a dedicated Slack channel, rather than sending all alerts to all the same channels. And this is wonderful, helps reduce clutter, streamline your Slack. If you're a bit surprised to hear about this kind of integration and thoughtful system with Opteo, you haven't tried it yet. I'm telling you, it has so many things. It's awesome. You have so many opportunities to improve your Google Ads performance with this amazing software. Link is in the description. It is opteo.com/PSP. All right, Joey, take it away.
All right. So this week's topic to discuss is holiday sale season. So holidays coming up, and it's important that we discuss how to best prepare for the sales that you'll be offering. There's a few things we're going to go over. One is how to make the most of your sales season, and how to really prepare and think about approaching a sale. We're going to talk about the different tools we have in Google Ads to promote and show our sale. And then we're going to talk about a lot of just little quick tricks and tips on, again, how to make the most of your sales season. So I think the big thing that I bring to all my clients when there is a discussion of a sale coming up is really considering this sale as an opportunity to close more new business. And that's how you have to think of it. Every new first-time customer you bring in has a customer lifetime value associated to it. When they purchase something, they inevitably sign up for your email list by giving their email and phone number at purchase, and that has a percentage of future close rates. So you have to think of a sale as a carrot on a stick to close new business. And the best way to boost this new business closing pipeline is thinking about sales season about a month in advance, where 1 month in advance you should be prospecting new clients through awareness driven campaigns. So what that means is I will typically launch YouTube campaigns, display campaigns, campaigns that typically have a low ROAS, and you're not trying to close them right now. You're making them aware of your product, and all the while building audiences. All this while of 1 month of just getting your product in front of potential new customers, you're building audiences in GA4 and in Google Ads to then remarket to aggressively during your sales season. So GA4 has a lot of really incredible audience building tools. You can build a specific audience based on a particular campaign, for example. So you can say, okay, this campaign being my, let's say, demand gen, which is a new awareness campaign type in Google Ads, or my YouTube campaign who's targeting people in the market of the product I'm selling. You can say, I want to bucket those people into this audience. And then you'll know that people who either viewed your ad or clicked through to your ad are now aware of you, and you can then remarket to them by use of targeting that audience. And that's huge. You make them aware of you, and then when the time is right to show them your discount, you have this audience ready for you to target with them. The last thing you want to do is think of your sale during the sale as the time to prospect new customers. During the sale, when everybody's products are on sale, like Black Friday, for example, those ad placements are the most expensive they're going to be because everybody is blasting their sale. So what you want to do, again, a month in advance, sometimes 2 months in advance, you prospect, you build audiences, and then you remarket at the time of the sale. Another audience tip that I like to do is for YouTube, right? YouTube is probably one of my favorite audience building awareness campaign types. And one of the things you can do in Google Ads is create a audience of anybody who has seen your ad, a separate audience of anybody who has clicked on your ad or subscribed to your channel, or seen any of your videos. But the really important one is anybody who's viewed your ad, right? So you make this awareness ad about your product. You very narrowly target people who are interested in this category. Then you build an audience of people who have seen your ad. And now there's two things you can do with that audience. One, you can obviously target it for remarketing, blasting, hey, now we're on sale. Or another thing I like to do is layer that audience as an observation audience in my brand campaign. That way you can see, of the people who saw my ad, how many of them then went, Googled my brand, and closed on a sale. So that's a huge one for just proving concept of profitability to YouTube, because they never have a high ROAS, these awareness campaigns. But when we're talking about building first-time customers, it's key, because the last thing we want to do is just continue to remarket to our existing customers. Then you're not building new customer lifetime value, and ROAS can maybe look good in that case, but the business's longevity will suffer. So we should always be concerned of building that first-time customer list. So another little tip I'll give when it comes to scaling your campaigns during sales season is if you're using ROAS bidding, or if you're using any smart bidding, any automated bidding strategies, don't boost your budgets the time of the sale. Because what happens with these machine learning algorithm based bidding strategies is when you increase your budgets, that's basically telling the algorithm, okay, now we're going to give you free range to go and test on unproven new people or strategies or audiences, whatever, right? It's giving it more free reign. So by doing that at the time of your sale, it's going to be placing a lot of unsure bets, and it's just not really going to give you the result you want. What I will do, similar to how I'll, you know, build my audiences in YouTube and display in advance, I'll also like increase my shopping campaigns, my Performance Max campaigns. I'll increase the budgets on those a solid month in advance. So, you know, a month before Black Friday, I'll increase all the budgets. And that's telling the algorithm, okay, go find more people. So you'll notice your ROAS will dip because you're spending more. It's taking a lot more risky bids and bets, but it's getting in front of a lot of higher funnel searches. So when I say higher funnel, I mean question-based searches, searches that are less people looking to buy that product right now. It's getting in front of people who might be curious about how this type of product can solve their problems. Or especially with Performance Max, even if you're doing a shopping feed only Performance Max campaign, it still has dynamic remarketing involved. And it uses aside from dynamic remarketing, it uses the display network and your product listings to get in front of new audiences. So even a feed only PMax campaign will use display for outbound awareness. So by boosting your budget, it's going to place your product in front of people who haven't searched your product before and are maybe on those, you know, higher funnel journeys. So boost your budgets a solid month in advance. You're going to collect a lot of data on these people. And then when you hit the sale, that Performance Max campaign or that ROAS bidding strategy is going to know, okay, now's the time to close on these people. So in summary, don't increase your budgets at the time of sale. Increase your budgets a few weeks to a month in advance, and then let it ride until the end of the sale. So another little sale holiday season tip I'll give is don't give any baby discounts. There's nothing worse than just a 5 or 10% discount. Nobody cares. If you're going to invest the money of really pushing your ads during holiday, give a good discount. Like I'm talking minimum 20%, minimum 20 to 30%. And what you're banking on, where you'll see your profitability is new customers and their lifetime value, especially if you have a good lifetime value. This is something you can find out through, there's really good Shopify apps. Like there's one called By the Numbers, where it tells you what your average customer return rate is. So you can actually evaluate, okay, for every customer I bring in, it generally those new customers generally purchase X amount of times over the course of 90 days to a year, whatever timeline you give. So you can have an idea of what one new customer is worth to you. So discount the heck out of it. Doesn't matter if maybe you're just breaking even on the sale. You're banking on using these strategies I mentioned, using it to attract first-time business, and then keeping them as customers. And that's how you get the return on a sale. So when it comes to how to promote your sale in Google Ads, there's a few ways to do it. So if we're talking Google Shopping, my favorite is to just use the price and sale price column, right? So there's two columns in your product feed, price and sale price. When your sale price is populated with the number that is lower than your price, you get on your ad that beautiful original price scratched out, and then the new price next to it, okay? This is my favorite one. Now, requires, though, a setup that does not use discount codes. It needs to be applied on your website. So in Shopify, that function is called compare at price. And on a Shopify product page, there's your price, and then you have what's called your compare at price. And that will be where you put your sale price. And then those two numbers populate your price and your sale price column. And then all your products, including on your dynamic remarketing, will show the new price on it. And I find those are by far the easiest to, by far the most convertible, because people see the prices on the listing. But it does have some limitations, right? It does require a lot of setup. If you've got different categories of products that have different discounts, you have to layer in Shopify automations, and it can get messy. Most people end up going with the discount code option because it's just a bit easier. You can say, okay, in Shopify or on your website, okay, any you can layer on discount codes. Now, the problem with discount codes is a user needs to input them at checkout, right? And you can't have that compare at price function with a discount code, because in order for them to get the discount, it needs to be applied at checkout. So if you're using a discount code, you can use the Merchant Center promotions option. So the promotion will be like something that you want to do it in a solid, I like to do it about 2 weeks in advance and schedule it, because there is an approval process where Google needs to go and review your promotion. But you basically say, here's my promotion. I'm offering 5% off. I give a headline on Merchant Center. I put the discount code in Merchant Center. You can say, apply this to all products, or I want to apply it to products of a particular collection or products on a specific ID. And then what's going to happen is when the product listing is served on Google Shopping, it will say like promotional offer, and they can click it and copy the discount code. But it's a little less intuitive than just, oh, I see the discount of the compare at price function I mentioned. I'm going to click the ad and the price is right there. So for that reason, I really like the compare at price option, the first option I mentioned, where it just shows the two prices and those two prices are reflected on your product page immediately, versus the discount code promotional option. And you can't do both. If you try to do a promotion and you have the compare at price option, it'll disapprove, because it'll say the price on your page does not match the price of the promotion, and it'll get messy and you'll get disapprovals. So you can only really do one or the other. And then the last one is a promotional asset, so like a promotional extension. That one's pretty straightforward. It's like any other extension. You can just say you have a promotion, and it's just visually shows it on the search ad itself. So, but that one I find is less important than the other two, which are more shopping-based promotion, promotional labels on the actual shopping listing. A promotion asset or extension is just related to search ads. So, and then the last thing I want to mention is be careful with discounts. Once you apply all these strategies, you'll see like, oh my goodness, they work, right? They work. You get a surge in cash flow, you get a ton of new customers, and you think, oh, I am going to do this all the time. And that is what you do not want to do. The more discounts you offer, the harder it will be to get your customers to pay full price. So there's nothing I hate more than when websites offer a sale every month. You're just driving down your ability to charge full price. Everyone's going to wait for the discounts, and you're always aiming for those short-term gains. So I would say pick a few discounts a year, 2 or 3, and go hard on them, right? Put a lot of money behind them, boost the heck out of your budgets, go for those awareness-based strategies to build a funnel, build those audiences, remarket hard, and the results speak for themselves. One more little tip I'll give, actually, when it comes to creating those assets, those visual assets to get in front of people on YouTube, for example, to show your sale, that can be the hardest part, because not everybody has a video team and it can easily create content. I was really surprised on how good the Google Ads video editor is. There's a video editor in Google Ads that basically, it works similarly to a responsive display ad, where you upload a bunch of pictures, you upload a bunch of text, but it uses these templates that actually, they put your photos in like a video format and your text. And I'm not going to lie, when I first heard they were doing this, I was really skeptical, and I thought, oh, it's going to look terrible. They actually look really good. They're really good animations. They put your pictures in, where they'll put your picture in like a picture frame on the wall, and then the wall will move, and then the text will come into place. And if you take a bit of time and build them, I have used those for clients that don't have video assets before, to just make those on sale now, or those last chance sale videos. Don't be shy to play around with it and try it out. So I hope that was helpful. If you need help with any of your e-commerce related questions, concerns, I offer Google Ads coaching. You can visit my website, joeybidner.com, and I'll pass it back to Chris.
Okay, there you have it. I told you Joey has great information. Thanks so much, Joey, for delivering those tips. That was awesome. I can tell you Joey has more to share as we approach closer and closer to that holiday season. He'll have more to share. I can tell you that now is the time. Now is the time to jump in and get some of those tips set up and working, because as he discussed, increasing the budget, the risk that you bring to your account for certain types of bid strategies can absolutely just demolish your account at some of the most important times. So prepare now for what's coming, because it is coming closer every week. And we have now reached the end of the show. Thank you guys for being a part of this podcast. If you enjoy this, I'm going to ask one thing. You don't have to send money. You don't have to subscribe to anything. I'm not telling you to go buy something. I would just like for you to leave a star review, a comment on my YouTube channel, which is a link in the description. Something just to tickle the algorithm, let people know that, hey, this is a good show. Chris is delivering solid content. Let other people know. Leave a comment, leave a like, comment, and a review on iTunes or wherever you can do it on your platform. Help me change this industry for the better, to improve businesses and change minds about there is hope for Google Ads. There is a better way to do things in Google Ads. And we will continue that conversation next week.